It was meant to be. The perfect gift, a reborn doll. One of those uncannily lifelike ones frozen in eternal slumber. I'd spent months researching, finding the most realistic artist, paying extra for the asleep expression, the delicate blush of newborn skin. When I presented the box to Sarah, her reaction wasn't what I expected. All color drained from her face. Her hands actually jerked back, like she'd touched something hot or alive. "Take that thing away," she hissed, shoving the box at me, her fingertips trembling, as if it carried some contagion. I laughed it off at first, put it down to new mother jitters, our real baby only 6 months old. Maybe the doll was too realistic, too close. But then, at 2:37 a.m., I found her, standing in the hallway, bare feet on cold hardwood, staring straight up at the attic door. The door we'd locked. "I keep hearing it cry," she whispered, her voice thin, stretched, her pupils wide and black in the moonlight. I listened, really listened, hearing only the house, the groan of old pipes, the sigh of settling wood. But no crying, no sound at all, from behind that door. It began, subtly, too subtly to notice at first. I'd enter the kitchen, and there it would be, sitting upright in its carrier, those glass eyes, fixed on me. Sarah swore, hand to heart. She hadn't touched it. Then the placements grew, bolder, perched precariously, on the washing machine, as if watching me fold laundry, propped against the TV, facing the couch, like it wanted to watch with us. The car seat incident, that chilled me most, strapped in properly, the chest clip secured, just like we did with our real baby, but the attic door remained locked. The key, still on our ring, undisturbed, and each time I found it, something had changed. The lips parted wider, as if caught mid-breath. The eyebrows, more pronounced, furrowed slightly, like it was reacting, learning, watching. The final time, I found it in our bedroom, standing, against the crib, one vinyl hand resting on our baby's blanket, its head tilted at that same angle Sarah had been standing that first night. The breaking point came last Tuesday night, 17 a.m. according to the clock, that cursed hour when everything feels thinner. I woke with a start, the mattress dipping like someone had climbed into bed. At first I thought, the baby, but our child slept safely. Down the hall, then I turned and saw. It was there, nestled under our blankets, curled against Sarah's back, like a real child seeking warmth. The smell assaulted me first, not the sweet powder scent, but something coppery, metallic, like old pennies, left to tarnish in rain. Then before my throat could tighten, before I could scream, its head rotated, with a sickening vinyl creak, until those glass eyes locked onto mine. And it spoke. Not a recorded voice, not some toy mechanism, but a living whisper. Wet and guttural. "Why don't you love me?" Each word dripped with something like hurt, something like hunger. Sarah slept on, unaware, as the thing wearing our gift skin pressed closer, its breath now fogging, against my cheek, warm and wrong. We burned it at dawn, standing in our pajamas, in the backyard's gray light. The flames took it hungrily, melting those perfect features, turning golden curls to blackened threads. The eyes burst first, little pops, like bubble wrap or knuckles cracking. The smell. God, the smell, like burning plastic, and something organic, something that shouldn't burn that way. We thought that was the end. But this morning, Sarah called me to the bathroom, her voice barely a whisper. Tiny handprints. 5 perfect fingers smudged on the fogged mirror. At exactly its height, the nursery. The one we never finished. The rocking chair moves now, empty, but swaying, back, forth. The squeak growing louder, more insistent. Each night, and if I press my ear, to the floorboards, beneath where its crib would have been. I hear it not crying anymore, No, worse, a wet, gurgling laugh like something delighted with its new game. For nearly 10 years, I've collected Reborn dolls. Those hyper-realistic infant dolls, the ones that make most people shudder. To me, they were art, perfect in their stillness, beautiful in their silence. Then came Benjamin. I found him in an online auction, buried between dozens of other listings. The photos showed a sleeping newborn, rosy cheeks flushed pink, delicate blonde curls, fingers curled in that perfect newborn grasp. The seller's description was sparse. Benjamin, reborn doll, excellent condition, no history, no provenance, but I had to have him. When the package arrived, it was too light. The cardboard box, slightly damp at the corners. I remember the smell when I cut the tape. Not the usual plastic and glue scent, but something organic. The packing peanuts spilled out, sticking to my hands like wet snow. Then, Benjamin. I lifted him carefully, and as I had dozens of others before, and immediately knew something was wrong. His weight, it wasn't distributed right. His limbs, too heavy. His head, lolling at an angle no dolls should. The vinyl felt warm. Not room temperature warm, living warm, and when I adjusted him in my arms, I could have sworn, just for a moment, I felt a heartbeat. At first, I told myself it was nothing, just tricks of the light, or my eyes playing games. But by the second week, I couldn't deny it anymore. Benjamin's face was changing. Those perfect plump cheeks, the ones I'd admired in the auction photos, were sinking in just slightly, like a real baby losing weight. Then came the wrinkles. Not cracks in the vinyl, not flaws in the sculpt, but actual age lines. Fine creases forming at the corners of his glass eyes, the kind that appear over decades. By the end of the month, his hair, those beautiful golden curls, were thinning at the crown, turning brittle, the color leaching out, strand by strand, until they took on a wiry, gray texture. I kept him locked in the display case, the one with the tempered glass, the key. I wore around my neck, but every morning, without fail, I'd find him rearranged. His head tilted at a new angle, his stiff vinyl fingers, now slightly curled, knuckles pronounced, just like an old man's, arthritic hands. The worst part, the case remained locked, the key still around my neck, and the faint smell of talcum powder and something else, something medicinal, like a nursing home, lingering in the air. The age spots were what finally broke me. Not flaws in the paint, not discoloration from sunlight, but actual liver spots, mottled brown patches spreading across his vinyl arms, exactly like an elderly person's skin. That's when I started digging. The auction. Count gone, deleted without a trace, but forums, dark corners of collector sites, whispers about a doll, a very special doll, that kept reappearing. Decade after decade, always the same description. Benjamin, excellent condition, always sold within days, always followed by hushed reports of strange changes, of unnatural aging. Then, the newspaper archives, yellowed scans from 1920, a local tragedy, a cholera outbreak, and one victim in particular, 5-year-old Benjamin Harker, died in his mother's arms. The article included death photo, that face, those features. Perfectly preserved in porcelain, they'd made a memorial doll from a death mask. The final post I found, from a collector in 1993, returned Benjamin today. He started crying at night, real tears, salty like the ocean, like the boy who never made it home. The museum curator and recoiled as if struck, his hands actually jerked back from the case. "Take it away," he whispered, not meeting my eyes, not even looking at Benjamin directly. Just that, firm, terrified refusal. Now the doll resides in my attic, sealed in his case, or so I tell myself. But at night, When the house settles, the floorboards groan, with weight they shouldn't feel. Slow, deliberate. Footsteps, moving between the boxes, circling. Last. Tuesday morning, I found it on my pillowcase, a single strand of hair, brittle white, coarse as an old man's. The display case downstairs, meant to be his home, stands empty now, lock intact, key untouched. Yet every evening, as dusk settles, from the attic darkness comes a sound that stops my heart, shallow, wet, breathing, the ragged inhale-exhale of aged lungs, of something that shouldn't, couldn't, be alive, but is. For 12 years, I've been a professional nanny, infants, toddlers, even special needs children. I've cared for them all. But nothing could have prepared me for the Whitman's job posting. The ad was simple. Too simple. Weekend overnight care, triple pay, cash up front, no questions. A chill ran down my spine when I read it. But rent was due, and triple my usual rate, I couldn't say no. The house loomed before me, a decaying Victorian monstrosity, its gabled roofs clawing at the gray sky. The air smelled of damp wood, and something else, something sweet and rotten. Mrs. Whitman answered the door. No smile, no greeting, just, "Follow me." Her voice was hollow, like a recording played too many times. The nursery was at the end of the hall. Faded wallpaper peeled in the corners. A single rocking chair creaked, though no one sat in it. And then, the crib, an antique, dark oak, chipped and scarred. Inside, bundle of lace and linen. A baby. I stepped closer and my breath caught. Tiny porcelain fingers. A face too smooth, too still. And the seams. Thin, precise lines at the wrists. The neck. His name is Samuel. Mrs. Whitman's hand glided over the doll's cheek. A lover's touch. Then her fingers locked around my arm. Tight. "You'll treat him like a real child, won't you?" Her nails bit into my skin. I could feel the bruises forming already. The doll's glass eyes stared at me. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't a job, it was a ritual. The rules were specific, too specific. Feed him every 3 hours, a bottle of lukewarm water unmixed with corn syrup. The liquid too thick and too sweet. Change his diaper. Always dry, always. And the final rule, the one that made my hands tremble, never leave him alone. After dark, that first night, I tried to laugh it off. The old house groaned around me. Floorboards creaking, pipes rattling, the wind whispering through cracked windows. Just an old house, I told myself. Just your imagination. Until the footsteps, distinct, deliberate, pausing. Just outside the nursery door, my breath froze in my chest. The doorknob didn't turn. No shadow slid beneath the door. Just silence. Then, the crib. I turned slowly, my pulse hammering in my throat. Samuel, his head tilted now, facing the door. One vinyl hand, raised. Fingers slightly curled, as if reaching, waiting. "You just forgot how you placed him," I whispered. But the words tasted like a lie because I remembered. I remembered laying him flat, arms at his sides just like a real baby, just like Mrs. Whitman, I demanded. The air grew heavier, colder, and in that moment, I knew. The rules weren't for my benefit. They were a warning. By the second night, reason left me. The rocking chair moved. Not from the wind, not from the house settling. A slow, deliberate sway, wood groaning in perfect rhythm. But the seat was empty. I stared, unblinking, until my eyes burned. Then, a flicker of movement. Samuel wasn't where I'd left him, propped against pillows now. Tiny hands folded. I squeezed my eyes shut, just for a second. And when they opened, he'd slumped into the corner, his glass eyes gleaming in the moonlight, not like a doll's eyes, like something alive, like a cat's eyes in the dark. Then, the smell hit me. That sickly sweet baby powder. Curdling, turning rancid. Now, something beneath it. Damp, earthy, like freshly turned. Soil like an open grave. I fumbled for my phone, fingers shaking. The Whitmans had to know. The ringtone trilled, and then a muffled buzzing. From their nightstand, right where they'd left it. The call connected, but no one spoke. Just breathing slow, wet, and underneath. The faintest squeak of a rocking chair. That last morning, I packed in a frenzy, my clothes thrown haphazardly to the bag, toothbrush at charger, all forgotten in my panic. My hands shook so badly I could barely zip the suitcase. Then, just as I grabbed the handle, it spoke, a dry, rasping whisper. From the crib, not a child's voice. Something older, something wrong. Each syllable formed with unnatural precision. Thank you for taking care of me. I turned, slowly, against my will. Samuel's mouth, open now, just slightly. Enough to see that curled strip of painted latex meant to be a tongue. But in that moment, it looked wet, alive. I ran, left everything behind. The Whitmans never answered my calls, never returned my messages, but it followed me home. I know because, sometimes, when the house is quiet, when I'm alone in the dark, that same whisper slithers from my closet. Thank you. And with it comes the smell. That nauseating mix of rotting lilies and curdled powdered milk, the exact scent that clung to Samuel's crib. I keep the closet locked now, but every night, without fail, I hear the click of the latch, turning, by itself.